Now, solidly into the rut's lull, we are struggling to see mature bucks on their feet. It would seem that when all the does are in estrus, bucks would be going wild, but in fact it is just the opposite. The does are now hiding, holed up, and the bucks aren't cruising, they are tending the does. During the middle of November, unless you have a hot doe near your stand, you're going to be twiddling your thumbs. Early in the rut, the go-to advice is simple. Find the does, find the bucks. Now we have to add one word to our motto. Find the right doe, and you find the bucks.
It's a gloomy, overcast morning. It rained last night, and the wind is blowing pretty good. We are back on what we call the skinny plot, and this would be what we believe to be a normal part of that lone oak buck's range. We don't have any evidence of him being here since, I think it was probably sometime in mid-October. We had some daylight pictures of him here. Might have been a little bit before that even. But the spot where we bumped him was only maybe a quarter of a mile to the east of us. So it's very conceivable that this deer could be still using this area, pretty frequently. That's the hope, and like I said yesterday, I'm not like super bent on killing him now because it just doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of other good candidates for next year. You hate to shoot all your seed, but the way that the season's going, it may not really be a choice that I have to make. I mean, he's got to show up and offer a shot first. So that's where we're at, and that's what we're hoping to see.
That same morning, 85 miles to the east, Jared Mills and Mike Reed are hunting their new farm.
Well, it's morning of November 15th, and Mike and I are settled in. We got here early and waded across the river on our new farm into this little section on the other side. We've hunted in here twice, but not on this side of the peninsula. We hunted on the other side and had a couple okay hunts over there, but like I said, it's November 15th, and the first time Mike and I crossed the river just to look at this side, we both said this looks like the kind of spot that a big buck would bring a doe. So that's kind of our game plan, or our reason for coming over here this morning.
While Jared and Mike wait for the action to kick off on the river farm, 250 miles to the northeast, Rick Vergin is on his farm hunting for an old buck he has nicknamed Fatty.
I'm hunting for a buck that we call Fatty, who is a 4, 5, 6-year-old mature deer. Doesn't have the most spectacular antlers in the world. In fact, he actually went backwards a little from 2016 to 2017, and so that's why we decided that he's reached his max and it's time for him to go. So I shot a tom turkey yesterday, so I feel like I kind of went through it now, got the shot, got something on the ground. Got a turkey for Thanksgiving, so thinking that it's time to kill a buck. But anyway, I'm going to quit talking now. These deer are going to hear me, and hopefully we can get something to come by us that we want to take care of, we want to shoot today.
is a buck that we call Fatty. Kind of a bully buck. And this is the first time we've seen him from the stand. We've got a lot of trail camera pictures of him. I hit him a little higher than what I would have liked, and a little bit forward. I think I hit his shoulder a little, but it looked like I got good penetration. I'm going to give it a little bit of time here and then go look for some blood. This is exactly the same shot and path that the buck that Casey shot 2 years ago called Twisted. Actually ran the exact same spot. There he lays, right there. Man, he is only like 15 yards from where Twisted laid. I mean, he is, boy, he did not make it very far. Oh man, look at that. Look at that. Now that's what I'm talking about right there. I like that. Look at how that Easton arrow went right through his shoulder blade. So this is Fatty. Looks like he busted off his G3 on the left-hand side a little bit. He was sure interested in eating this morning rather than chasing does, and there was plenty of does out in the field. There was a lot of deer moving this morning. Probably, had 10 to 15 does out there. I got kind of excited, which is a really good thing. I hope I never lose that. I hope I never lose that feeling. So anyway, well, we're gonna drag him out of here and get him loaded up and get him butchered up. He should have a lot of good meat on, as fat as what he is. So.
The hard-hitting power of Easton FMJ arrows produced a vital hit, even though Rick's arrow smacked the shoulder blade. FMJ arrows are the ideal weight to soak up maximum energy from our Hoyt bows, and their small diameter gives them a clear penetration advantage. Frigid Forage Big and Beastie food plots draw deer at all times of the season. This hunt proves the pulling power of Big and Beastie, as Fatty was more interested in feeding than chasing does. There are only 3 ways you can get busted in a tree stand. The deer can smell you, hear you, or see you. To reduce the chances of being seen, we wear the best camouflage we can. Realtree's open patterns perfectly blend into the hardwood timbers that we hunt. Low light accuracy requires a sight with bright pins. Fuse sights have some of the brightest pins on the market, making it possible to take shots right up to the end of legal shooting time with total confidence. Rick's trophy didn't follow the mid-November script. He was on his feet alone, looking for food and ignoring the does. It almost never happens during this time. Clearly, Fatty came by his name honestly. Remember the old phrase, "I'm a lover, not a fighter"? Well, it seems Fatty was a feeder, not a lover. Back on my farm, the morning has been predictably slow. No wished-for surprises as the action continues to flatline. We've only seen just those 2 fawns that were here before daylight, and nothing has come through since. The day has turned really, really nice though. It's clear now. The temperature and the humidity have both dropped. The wind has stayed real nice and fresh. Normally during another part of the rut, this would be a classic day. But as I talked first thing this morning, this is one of those portions of the rut where things slow way down. So I'm just going to be hunting half days now, so I'm not going to hunt this afternoon, and I'll be out again tomorrow. I mentioned earlier that unless you have a hot doe close by, things are going to be very slow. But if you do have a hot doe close by, well, that's a different story. Troy Saxonmeyer was hunting the middle of November in 2014 when lightning struck. An obviously hot doe was the tipping point in Troy's season-long hunt for a giant 8-pointer.
We took a chance. We were hoping that Caden would be in this valley right below us because that's where I've seen him 3 times now. Unfortunately, when we came in, he's actually laying right here on the fence line 40 yards from the stand. We bumped him up. He's with a doe. The doe went down the valley, and she's down there right now actually feeding. We watch her lay down, so they didn't go far. They're actually upwind of us too, so that kind of helps a little bit. Hopefully, He's with that doe, so he's gonna do whatever she does. So if hopefully here as the sun goes down, she's gonna work back to this cornfield, and hopefully they make a mistake and come back by us.
Map.
I think I just shot my biggest bow buck to date. That was Kading. He is a very large mainframe 8. He has a little sticker on his left G3. Besides that, he's all clean. I think he doesn't be able to stop him. I was like, stop. I yelled at him. I said, hey. We seen, I don't know, half a dozen does last night, a bunch of bucks. It was like everything was coming out of the woodwork, and then he popped out and decided he was gonna run off this 4-pointer that was trying to chase his doe. Definitely my biggest bow buck to date. This deer right here will be a memory always in my life.
Back to the 2017 season, Mike Reed has a similar experience to Troy's as a hot doe brings the woods to life around his stand, including an appearance from another giant 8-pointer, a buck that Mike has named Eli. In fact, Mike doesn't even make it to his stand before running into the buck dogging a doe. Finally settled in, the action continues as buck after buck, a full dozen of them, come through looking for the doe.
It's about 3:20 on the afternoon of November 15th. And I'm out here at the new farm. Jared had to head back to get some work done, and I'm working the next 2 days, so I thought I'd stay and do a hunt and learn a little bit. And we have this nice low spot, this slough for access, so I walked up the slough, and as I was approaching the stand, one of our shooters, a buck we call Eli, is just a big 8-point. He was 20 yards from the stand, so I took a little too long at the truck deciding which set to come to, but he was with the doe, and they worked their way off to the south, so I was able to get some footage of him from the ground, and climbed up in the tree and just kind of watched him ease back into the peninsula. So hopefully they'll circle back through here before the night's over. There's other mature bucks in this area too. We didn't see anything this morning while we were hunting across the river, but when we came out to check cameras, we jumped one of our bucks, we call him Broadway Joe, just on the edge of the field there. He's a nice 6x5 with some extra points, and looking at the cameras, I looked at a few of the cards before I came back here. There's a new buck that we haven't named yet, just a old 5x5. I've got a solid hour and 40 minutes left, and we'll see. Hopefully, if nothing else, I can get some footage of some of these bucks and try to work on our aging process to decide which ones we should shoot and which ones we should give another year. But anyway, you can get quiet and enjoy the hunt. It's about 5 minutes past sunset. I've had a great hunt. I've seen 25 plus deer and at least 12 different bucks. A lot of them are young. I did see a 4.5-year-old 9-point out on the field edge harassing some does. Did not get any good footage of him, but big uptick in activity compared to our last 5 or 6 hunts. This weather front has got them on their feet. Like I said, I've got to get back to work. The next 2 days, I'll be back out Saturday. It's a great sit. I'm going to get packed up here in about 10 minutes to get out of here. I think Jared's going to be hunting the next few days, so hopefully he has some luck getting a big shooter in front of him.
Staying comfortable and hydrated through long, sweaty days requires a class-leading cooler. one that can take the abuse of life in a pickup bed and still hold ice for days. That is why American-made Grizzly coolers go with us on every scouting trip. Sleepless nights spent waiting for daylight only to follow a weak blood trail are a thing of the past with the devastating performance of the new Wasp Jackhammer Broadhead. With its 1 3/4 inch cutting diameter, this head is the perfect combination of destruction and penetration. Cabela's offers a wide range of footwear that accommodate all types of hunting, from early season spot and stalk to late season stand hunting. What you wear on your feet has almost as much to do with your success as what you carry in your hands. With an industry-leading lifetime warranty, our choice in footwear is simple: Cabela's. One of the biggest challenges we face when planting food plots is getting larger seeds, like soybeans, in the ground at the proper depth. Doing this requires a drill or planter. You can't just throw them out in hope. This is one of the strengths of the RTP Genesis seeder. It plants large seeds at the perfect depth for consistent germination and a solid stand. Hunting the same farm the next day, Jared Mills also draws a winning lottery ticket. Another hot doe comes close enough to lure 2 mature bucks within bow range.
Well, it's just about sunrise here, the morning of November 16th. And it's another perfect November morning. Heavy frost on the ground, temps in the low 20s. Just a cool morning to be in the tree. And I'm in another pretty neat looking spot on the new farm. As far as I know, I got in pretty clean. The wind is not what it's doing, what it's supposed to be doing so far, so hopefully it straightens back out. It's supposed to have a northwest switching to northeast, and right now it's basically blowing south-southwest. It doesn't seem like this is the kind of spot that the wind would swirl, so I'm hoping it's just light and variable and it eventually will straighten out. Turkey gobble back there. I'm really excited to see what happens in this spot, see kind of what the deer do, if they work their way past me into the peninsula, or I can see a long ways. It's really thick on the ground, but I can see pretty decent ways here in the timber, so I'm really excited for this morning. We had a new buck show up on camera the other day, good looking 10, so I'd love to get a look at him or one of our other bucks. Well, it's 10:30, and I gotta be quiet because that buck and doe, they're still bedded right there. She's at about 40, and he's probably 50 yards. That buck is a deer we call Rex Ryan. He's fully mature, and we're thinking he's 5+. But that's the second time I've seen him this morning. he was the first deer I saw early on. He cruised by and came back with a doe, and now he's bedded there with her. It'll be interesting to see how long they bed there, if they bed there all day, if I'm gonna have to jump them or what. I can't sit all day, unfortunately. But it's 10:30 now, and they came in and bedded at 9:30, so they've been there an hour now. I'm hoping to hang in here as long as I can, and hope one of our better bucks crosses that doe's trail and comes in. That could definitely be interesting to watch, but we'll see what happens. It's about 11:15 now, and that was a pretty cool encounter. That's a buck we call Eli, and man, he was at 25 yards. But unfortunately, I was facing this way to film that bedded doe and bedded buck, Rex Ryan, and the doe was facing me, so I kind of stopped paying attention to what was behind me because I didn't want to do too much moving. Well, she actually got up and started working her way off. And so I got the camera where Rex Ryan was bedded, where I could see his tines, assuming he was going to stand up. So while I had the camera on him, I heard something, a twig snap behind me. I looked over, and Eli's there at 25 yards in the lane. So it took me a while to just try to spin around, get the camera wrapped around my body to be able to film him. And I got the camera on him, but I still had to turn myself. And he caught a little bit of movement there. I was almost all the way twisted around. He caught a little bit of movement and it spooked off, but he wasn't spooked terribly bad. I think he just knew something wasn't right when he caught that little bit of movement. You know, he stopped at 100 yards and was kind of looking, didn't really know, and he walked off normal after that. So he wasn't spooked too bad, but just a good looking 8. Mike actually filmed him last night. He was with the doe last night when Mike was walking into the stand. And obviously he didn't have a doe this morning, but cool to see him up close. You know, when we first started getting pictures of that deer, we called him an obvious 5-year-old and had him on the list. The wind is becoming more and more easterly. It's switched around from northwest this morning to northeast to east, and it's going to be southeast basically in an hour or two. So I need to get a straight east wind. It's not good for this spot, and the southeast is even worse. So I'm going to get down, get out of here, and decide whether or not I can hunt this afternoon or not. So it was a good morning, and little by little we keep learning this place.
Keeping things simple and minimizing gear is always a worthwhile goal. Nikon's Laser Force range-finding binoculars bring together the two pieces of optical hardware that most bow hunters carry to the stand. Working hard to contain cost, Nikon is able to offer the Laser Force at roughly the same price you would pay if you bought a rangefinder and a high-quality binocular separately. I've been shooting Hoyt bows almost exclusively since 1997. That is way before I started Midwest Whitetail. The people at Hoyt drew me to the company initially, but their commitment to producing the best, most accurate bows on the market is what kept me there. Many of the employees at Hoyt are bow hunters, so they take the quality of the bows they produce very personally. Redneck blinds allow me to hunt more comfortably on cold days, and that means I hunt longer. That is one important key to success. You have to be out there if you hope to fill tags. Positioning of the Ozonics unit is important to its effectiveness. With this in mind, Ozonics makes several different mounting systems that you can use to attach the unit to the tree or the ground blind in the perfect position to rain ozone down on your scent stream.
I got kind of excited, which is a really good thing. I hope I never lose that. I hope I never lose that feeling, so.
And that was a pretty cool encounter. That's a buck we call Eli, and man, he was at 25 yards.
Rick Vergin, Jared Mills, and Mike Reed experienced action-packed hunts during what was otherwise a very slow time for our teams, reinforcing a lesson that needs to become a sticky note on every whitetail hunter's refrigerator. Anything can happen at any time. It only takes one deer. Throughout most of the rut, that one deer is a buck on the cruise, but during the rut's lull, the magic comes through the leaf-crunching approach of a hot doe. That event will turn a bleak and lifeless morning into a day we will relive forever. As we roll into the month's third week, the tone is starting to change. There's a new optimism in our deer camp conversation. We know that as the majority of the does are bred, the bucks will restart their rounds. With light at the end of the tunnel, we refocus for the stretch run. This is not over yet. The best may still be ahead of us as we keep chasing November.